Okay, so now let's take a look at some fraction examples with using these rules for multiplying. How we multiply fractions, if you think back um, to sixth grade and maybe fifth grade, we are basically just multiplying the numerators and then multiplying the denominators. So let's just start with a positive times a positive fraction. So going across, that would equal 1/8. Okay. Hmm. What if we had a positive times a negative? We'll do 2/3. So I have to multiply my numerators. 1 times 2 is 2. And multiply the denominators. 3 times 3 is 9. And then I just have to remember my rules. If one is positive and one is negative, their signs are different. So that results in a negative product. Okay. One more. When they are both negative. So again, we'll just kind of keep things simple. -1/4 times -1/4 equals a positive 1/16. Okay, now let's do a mixed number example real quick. Because if we know if they're in fraction form, we just multiply across. So guess what? If we have a mixed number times a mixed number, we're going to want to change them into an improper fraction form so that there's just a numerator, just a denominator. Well, 1 1/2 is the same as having 3 pieces of size half, right? If I drew that out, that would be one fraction bar and a half of another one. And that's 3 pieces of size half. Multiply that by 1 1/3. That is like having 4 pieces of size thirds. And then I multiply across and just remember my rules. Now, this one's just a positive times a positive. So I'll multiply across and get 12/6. And leaving it like this is fine by me right now. For those of you who just want to turn it back into a mixed number, then we will recognize that 12/6 is the same as 2 wholes. If one of these fractions, these mixed numbers, was negative, for example, so let's just go back, pretend that -1 1/3 was negative, so that would mean the -4/3 was negative, then we know that our our answer would be negative. One last thing to point out is I'm going to switch up the placement of this negative sign. The negative can be here, okay, at the top, or I could write the negative at the bottom, and it's still the same. That whole quantity is negative. Or I could write it in front of the fraction, and it all means the same. Okay, so no matter where that negative symbol is, if it's somewhere in that fraction, that means that whole entire fraction is negative. Okay, so let me just finish this out because again, it could be with the 12, it could be with the 6, it could be out in front, doesn't matter. I know my result is negative.